So today we want to take a look at getting your site into the Google News Publisher Center and getting it approved. Now I have to temper your enthusiasm a little bit here because getting approved for Google News doesn't mean the same thing as it used to. Pre-2020, if you got approved in the Google News Publisher Center, that meant your site would rank, your articles would rank in Google News. That's not the case anymore. According to Google, every site online that follows the Google News content policies is eligible to be ranked in Google News. Now, a lot of publishers are struggling with that. We'll talk about that more in another video. But for now, with the Google News Publisher Center, when you get approved, you get a followable news listing. You can build up a subscriber base using that listing. You get control over your logo and the name that Google and Google News uses for your site. So while it's not like it used to be, there are still advantages. So let's dig in and start setting your site up. Let's set a few things up first. It'll just make it easier when you get into the Publisher Center. If you haven't already, you do want to set your site up in your Google Search Console. If you're unfamiliar with what the Search Console is, look up my video on that and I'll go through everything. The next thing you want to do is set up your site description. This is just text, at least 140 characters. You want to keep your site description fairly simple and straightforward. Next, you want to set up a huge square logo, 1,000 by 1,000 pixels. I know that's big, but it's actually going to be displayed very small, like a little icon on your cell phone screen. So you want to make it big, but you also want to keep it fairly simple and so that it can be seen and recognized and people will know what it is, even though it's a very small icon when it's actually used. You'll need two more images, 400 pixels wide, 40 pixels tall, that include your site's name. These should also be pretty simple and straightforward. You need one that works well with a light background, one for the dark background. You can use the same image for both as long as it works okay on a light or a dark background, either way. But you want to keep these fairly simple. They're going to go over top of your article or your publication in Google News on the app. So it's also going to be displayed small, so you want it very clear, very straightforward. Last thing here, if you have a WordPress site, I have a plugin called Unpublish that I've designed to optimize a feed for use in the Publisher Center. And it will save you a whole lot of trouble and angst over some of the little things that WordPress does that aren't quite compatible with the Publisher Center. So look up that, Unpublish, and install that, and it'll make things a lot easier for you. Now that you have everything prepped, let's head over to the Publisher Center. It's at Publisher Center, that's one word, publishercenter.google.com. As we get into the Publisher Center here, you're going to see there are some things that don't quite work correctly. Google has been informed about those things, and hopefully they'll be fixed over time, and we'll just work around them. There are also a number of updates that are coming down the pike, so things will look a little bit different. There'll be some things added, some things removed. So what you see here when you're actually doing it may look a little bit different. So click on the Got It here, and then go over to the Add Publication in the menu there, and you'll bring up this form. You're going to enter your publication name. You do want this to be consistent with the name that you use on your website. And in this case, I've just put an example site together that we're going to be using for setting this up. Then you put in your domain name. Next, you'll be selecting your location. This does need to be the location of where your publication is headquartered, not where the audience is. And then you'll check this box saying that this is where your publication is headquartered, where your offices are. And then just go over and click on the Add Publication. You're welcome to explore these other links, of course, but for now, to stay focused on adding your publication, we're going to click on Publication Settings. Some of this is already going to be filled out. Here in the language section, you'll need to enter the language that your publication is in. If you have more than one language, if you have a multilingual site, do set up a separate publication for each language. The next step is going to be to verify your site. It's a very simple process. If you've already got things set up in the Search Console and you are the verified owner, it's just a matter of clicking on this link. If you're a designated owner of the site, for example, if you're setting this up for a client or something like that, this is not going to work for you. You're going to have to get the site owner who's actually verified to log in here and verify the site, or you're going to have to become a verified owner yourself. If you're also going to be using content from another site, you can add that site here. Next, you'll want to add your contact information. I would sign up for both the technical issues and the product updates, and be sure to check your email after all of this is saved because you will get a verification email. Then we'll scroll down to the bottom of the page and click on the Next button. Now, when you hit that Next button, it's going to load the next page, but it's going to load you at the bottom of the page, so you have to scroll up. At the top of the page here, we'll click on Add Square Logo, and you'll just add in that logo that you created earlier. Ta-da! Then we'll add in the rectangle logos that you made earlier. Now, it's weird, but for some reason, though they want them small, 400 wide, 40 tall, they display them large in the Publisher Center, so it degrades the image, but it will look fine once you get it all set up and it's actually showing up on a cell phone. Next here, we'll just upload the logo for the dark theme. Once you do that, you can go ahead and scroll down and you'll see a section here for uploading fonts. You can just ignore that section. I expect it to be discontinued soon. What you definitely want to make sure that you do is go up here and save your work at this point. Then we'll come over here and click on this back arrow and go back to the Publisher Center homepage. Then we'll go over here to the Google News section. Then we'll click on the Edit button here. Here's where you will enter the description for your site. If you've already written it up, you can just copy and paste it in very easily. Next, we'll go down to the category section. For the sample site I put together, it would be entertainment, but if you don't see something that fits your site, there's also a special interest selection there, and you can pick that. When it comes to distribution, for most of us, it's going to be worldwide, but you do have the ability to allow or block certain countries. And for Google properties, most of us are looking for that exposure. Allow on all unless there's a specific reason to block something or another. This tracking section here you can ignore. I expect Google to discontinue it soon. The easiest way to track your traffic is going to be through your Google Search Console, the Google News section there. Google News is not split up there between what's coming in through the app and what's coming in through a browser, but it's what we have right now. It is what it is. Now let's be sure to save what you've got so far. Hit that Next button. It's going to load toward the bottom of the page, so you just scroll up. So now we'll start telling Google what content you want to include in your publication, and each section you set up will show up as a tab in your publication. When you click on this Add New Section button, you're going to be faced with several options here. The feed option, if you have an RSS feed or an Atom feed available through your site, is going to be the most reliable and the way that Publisher Center updates things the quickest. If you're using my GN Publisher plugin, select this option. The web location option is for putting in a category or a section of your site with just a list of articles. that has not been as reliable and as fast to update in my experience and in the experience of a lot of other publishers. So if you have a feed available, I would definitely use the feed option. The video option is for adding your YouTube channel, and the personalized feed you can select, and Google will personalize a feed based on the user's interest. It'll be articles from your site, but ones that Google has calculated would be most interesting to the person looking at the publication. For right now, I would just go with the feed or the web location, save the video and the personalized feed for later, and set those up after you're approved. The fewer things you do here, the less that can go wrong when they are reviewing your site. So we're going to use the feed option or a web location and just set up one section and keep it very simple. You can add more after you're approved. The title here will be what shows up in the tab of your publication. The feed URL, if you're using my Unpublish plugin for WordPress, those are available if you click on the settings and information link. And view access we can just leave for anyone for now. Then we'll click the add button down here, and that's the only section we're going to set up, just one main section. The less you add here, the easier it's going to be to get approved. The more you add, the more things that can go wrong. You can ignore the access groups, and we'll just go up here and save. Once saved, just go over to this refresh link and click refresh, and then take a break. Go get a drink, do something for about 10 minutes, and then we'll come back to this. Okay, I've actually been gone about 20 minutes here, but what you're going to do next is refresh the entire page using your browser's refresh button. Then go to this articles link, and you should be able to click on it and see a nice list of your articles there. If you don't get a nice list of articles, something has gone awry. I'm going to have a troubleshooting video out soon, but if you're looking at this and I don't have that published yet, head over to the Google News Publisher Help Forum and provide your URL there, and I or one of the other product experts or the regulars on the forum there can take a look at the feed and help you troubleshoot that. Next, we'll click on this Review and Publish link. This is going to be an important page because it's going to provide any issues or problems that you need to solve before you actually submit your site for approval. However, don't get too hung up on this preview pane over here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It just has not been very reliable at all. The important thing that you want to be looking at here is this publishing status section. If there's any issues that are identified there, those will need to be taken care of before you can submit this for publication. Now you'll see in my publishing status section here, there's only one more thing to do, and that's to review the terms of service. And just to be prepared, these are rather daunting. So filling out the information on the side here is easy enough. But then take a look at these terms. Yeah, that's pretty insane, huh? But take a look at them. And once you take a look at them, you'll click on the box saying you've read these and submit. Okay, you'll see where we're clear to publish it now, and when you click that publish button, it will actually be submitted for review. It's not that you are directly making it live right then. But before you do that, go over to this Testing Your Publication section and click on the Follow Publication. Now, when you do that, it's going to make it live only for your account when you're in your Google News account, so that you'll be able to check the publication as if it was live and see what it looks like. Now, at the moment, that actually doesn't work. You'll probably get a message saying that there's no content. Google has been informed that's not working right now. Hopefully, by the time you are seeing this, it is working again. You'll be able to check everything. But if you do get a message saying there's no content available, don't panic. Don't worry about that. Just go ahead and submit it for a review and let them take a look at it. And when it goes live, then it will be working and you'll be able to see your publication okay. Next, we'll click on this Publish link, and it's going to come up with a thing saying that it's going to be 2 to 4 weeks for the review. It usually doesn't take that long. It also says you're going to get an email when it goes live. That doesn't normally happen either. You'll just need to check back here on a regular basis and see if it's gone live. If there's an issue, if they do turn it down for some reason, then you will usually get an email. Okay, I've been checking this daily, and it took about 4 days, and now it's live. So we can click on your publication name here. Then go over to the Google News section. And from here, you'll be able to edit your publication description or any of these other settings. By going over to the Content Settings tab, you'll be able to add new sections. Just be sure to test these carefully and make sure everything's working as you get it set up. And over here on the Review and Publish tab, you can unpublish your publication if you ever needed to. Now, that doesn't delete anything on your publication. Your subscribers remain there. Your articles remain there. It just makes it inaccessible to your subscribers or on being online at all. If you needed to unpublish it and fix something or test something and then publish it again, in my experience, it publishes again right away. You don't have to go through the same review process that you did before. It's important to note that if your publication is rejected for any reason, there will often be a reason for the rejection right here in this publisher, in the publishing status box. If you're rejected but there's not a reason there, be sure to look through your emails or your spam box. They will send you a note explaining what happened, why it was turned down. I will have an upcoming video on common reasons for rejections and what to do about them. So be sure to subscribe to my channel here, or if it's been a little while since I've published this, go to the search box and look it up. Subscribe anyway, get all the newest content, and I will keep you informed as to what's going on here with Google News and the Publisher Center. Okay, as we wrap this up here, one of the things you'll want to do is click on this link and check out your publication. It should come right up there on Google News. Then you can click on an article and it will go to your page. You can, and I would encourage you to put a promo on your website, inviting people to subscribe or follow you on Google News. And lastly, if you go over to Google News, news.google.com, you'll be able to type in your publication name, and you will see it will come up as a news source. And you can click on that news source link, and it takes you to your publication. You can do the same thing in the Google News app. And that's it. Do subscribe and like. I have more information coming out about Google News and about news journalism. I want to keep you all up to date with that.